NBA Finals. It is set. Game 1 Wednesday between the New York Knicks and San Antonio Spurs. First game in San Antonio.
So watching Game 7 really reminded me of almost 10 years ago watching Steph and Clay and Harrison Barnes and Iggy and Bogut.
Can I stop you real quick? I just have a little nugget on that. That game you're referencing right there, Game 7, 2016, when they completed the comeback against the Thunder, that is the last time a home team has won a Game 7 in the conference finals. Since then, I believe it's 0-4.
It's all road teams, yeah.
It's kind of crazy, right? A little bit, because prior to that, they were like almost undefeated.
You didn't feel the tension in that? I felt it. It was lemon booty.
Well, after that block from Cornette in the fourth, I think
so sick. Cornette was playing out of his mind.
He was.
I actually thought I would have put Wemby on the bench for a couple more minutes and played Cornette more because they weren't attacking Wemby. I was like, you're letting Wemby off the hook here.
5 fouls with like 6.5 to go. Go at him.
I don't know. Anyway, but as I was watching that, and I'm watching SGA, he was exhausted. And SGA was in, he's not injured. At least I don't think he's injured.
No, they didn't say he was. So.
But maybe he's dealing with something. But I got the same sense of when I watched the Warriors. They had exerted so much energy that year, and there were so many things going wrong in terms of their team health.
Sure.
They had nothing left. And I'm watching Chet. Now, again, Chet's way better than Harrison Barnes, but similar, it was like a black hole. Like, Chet did nothing. And Jalen's on the bench, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, one of these two guys is gone. Like, it just feels like they're going to overreact. They're going to lose their minds. And now, look, there's this whole other element of the CBA, which is really, really, really difficult to have 3 guys on max contracts all together and then still round out your team and have, the Carusos, the Hartensteins, all those guys, those mid-level players, right?
Sure.
Lou Dort, non-factor.
He didn't do anything.
Non-factor whole series.
Yeah, no.
Would you agree?
Yeah. If he's not shooting, he wasn't really doing much.
I mean, they barely played him in that Game 7. 22, what's his name?
Cason Wallace, he showed up.
He was incredible.
5 and 9 from beyond the arc. He's their best 3-point shooter.
I thought they missed Wiggins. I thought they missed the other Jalen Williams. Yeah. Obviously, they clearly missed Chet.
I mean, that speaks to how deep they are as a team that it went to Game 7. And they're going to be kicking themselves for that Game 1 overtime where they
no question.
Just Caruso dropped 32. That felt like a squandered opportunity. But the fact they were in that position still to win this series the last couple of games without their second best player. I mean, Chet. You reference Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes played 3 minutes and Chet Holmgren scored only 4 more points than him.
I know.
Chet played 33.
I know. So I'm watching that game and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, the CBA is going to come down hard on OKC. What did we say when Denver won it all?
Let's see if they can keep these guys together, right?
No. What did the NBA, not you and me. What did the NBA fans?
They're going
to win the next 2 or 3?
The next 5 years is theirs.
5's a little aggressive, but let's say the next 2 or 3.
But that's what we do. I'm already hearing Spurs for the next decade.
Yeah, let it play out. That's number 1. They got to win this one first.
Can they win the finals first?
But, like, what happened when Boston won it all?
Oh, they're going to, dominate the league.
They're going to turn. They got the 2 best players. They got a monster team. Blah blah. Well, Tatum goes down and everything changes for them. Now OKC wins it all last year. What did we say? Next 3 years, OKC's.
Yep.
Obviously, the Spurs were coming. We could feel they were coming. Now they're here, and they haven't even won it, and we're already just penciling them in next 6 years.
Crowning them.
Next 6 years. Now, you might be right. You might be right that they end up. Let's win this one first, and then we'll worry about a next one. But it's just so crazy how quick the NBA comes for you. And now I look at it and I say to myself, like, all right, what is OKC going to do? Are they going to stand pat? If this were the 80s, what would they do? They'd probably stand pat, correct?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can hear the argument of Sam Presti, the GM, saying, we didn't have our second best player for the entirety of the series almost. Like, that matters.
But my third, in this case, would have been now propelled to second best player, did a complete no-show. And against that guy, something, for whatever reason, doesn't work.
He got dominated, and mentally, he looks fried. He looks shook, Chet Holmgren. And they're talking to the fan base wants him out of there.
Yeah, so I think it's an overcorrection. If I was them, I would stay the course. They're not going to. I'm being real. They're not going to. I would keep that core together.
I agree.
How many regular season games have you guys won? You've lost pretty much one big-time playoff series where they've all been in their primes?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. And Jalen didn't even play.
Correct. So
I don't know. So they're gonna trade. And I think it's the bad decision.
Well, what if they get Giannis?
I would just stay the course.
Even if I can get Giannis for Chet in like a pick or two?
I don't think Giannis is the end-all, be-all.
I mean, Giannis isn't doing what he did yesterday. If you have Giannis yesterday, you're winning that game, right? It's not even close.
Is Giannis going to be healthy?
Giannis would put Victor Wembanyama. He'd foul, make him foul out. That's what he would do. Is he going to stay healthy? Joe, what if I said this? Hey, my other two guys, on any given night, my three best players, it could be Giannis one night, it could be Jalen Williams one night. I still like the depth behind them. They're going to cruise into a top 4 seed. And that's all you need if you have Giannis on your team.
But I guess my point is like you have all the picks and you have all your players, and yeah, you can kind of, we'll see what happens with Dort and Caruso and Hardenstein, but don't you still want to keep this trio together for a long time?
Maybe. Or was this a reality check if they're looking at the Spurs saying, man, if we are going to compete for them for the next handful of years, I don't know if we can have Chet go up against Wemby like that. Now, you don't think about one other team, right? You can't think like that as a GM, but it's hard not to, just looking at the hierarchy of the West.
So you're going
things
more...
will change like this summer, but right now, there's no other teams that are touching the Thunder and Spurs, in my opinion.
Look, you lost the series. Yeah. He had a bad series. It's a bad series for a young player. He disappeared.
That happens.
Heck yeah, it happens. And like I would run it back. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not open to bringing in, Trey Murphy III or something like that and make some ancillary moves. Would I keep these three together, barring any real ramifications from the CBA? Yeah, I would. I would try to keep them together because they've won a lot of games together and they all clearly get along and play well together. Now, Jalen's injury history this year, it can't happen again next year.
No.
If you sell him or Chet, it does feel like you're selling a little low based on what their value's been the last couple of years. I just wouldn't trade all those guys. I would stay pat.
I do think it's a fascinating conversation, though.
Build.
Well, they're talking about Giannis. They're also talking about potentially trading up and getting a young rookie like a Cam Boozer to just put in there.
Is he going to defend?
And then maybe you flip him. Yeah, maybe he is the Wemby
smaller
stopper.
Though.
But he's much thicker than Chet.
No doubt.
Much
He's
thicker.
a really good player. They needed another playmaker in the half court.
Yeah.
That was my big takeaway watching that. They really missed Jalen. I don't know.
I know. They were relying on Jared McCain to be their offensive firepower. But who was really undersized and had some really good moments, by the way, this series, Jared McCain. His stock rose exponentially around the league, and it just looks like a worse and worse trade.
But what if I told you this? Seeing how quickly, OKC, next 5 years is theirs, and now it's boom, it's evaporated. Do you have a little more appreciation for the run the Warriors just went on? The little 10-year run. Run.
We were talking about that in the chat.
Do we have just a little more appreciation for being great for 6 straight years?
We talked about in the chat this notion that, the next 10 years of the San Antonio Spurs, they're going to be the favorites every season. I was like,
possibly.
The Warriors might be the greatest team ever assembled. All right, we're going 2014 onward. It lasted barely 5 years. Barely 5 years to 2019. And then it got blown up.
And
Kevin Durant left, injury, Achilles, Clay got and then guess what? They won a couple of years after that, and no one thought they were going to.
No.
In hindsight, it's unbelievable that they got that trophy again. And things broke their way, and it was great. But this notion that any team is going to Joe, this is going to be the eighth straight year in the NBA. There's going to be a different champion. 8 straight years. We've never had this level of parity in the NBA like we do today.
Were you rooting for or against OKC? I had no feel in the fight.
I was rooting for the Thunder. I want to see a team finally break the curse and go back to back, if you will. But
I really enjoyed that game. I really didn't care who won.
I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for Wemby and the Spurs that don't have an allegiance to either team. Now, the New York fan base is massive, so there's going to be a lot of people in further there.
Doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
I just want a good series.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, that's all I care. That's why I didn't want the Cavs or anything to win. I was because the Cavs are going to get destroyed. The Knicks are the only team that I felt have the player personnel if they play to their ability. Now, that's the question. Karl Anthony Towns, Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, amongst others. that can win a series against either of these teams. They have the talent to do it. Now, will they? I don't know. They're heavy underdogs in this series, are they not? The Knicks?
And the other thing that stuck out to me watching that whole series play out, the others. Caruso, Casey Wallace.
Jared McCain.
What about Keldon Williams for San Antonio?
Yes.
Was amazing down the stretch.
The depth, man.
Vassell.
Yes.
Like so many. Cornette, exactly.
Played 6 minutes, but those were an impactful 6 minutes.
There's no doubt that the stars have to like ride you or to that moment, but you need all these other guys to step up. And I'm just watching the Warriors. They just don't have enough. I'm talking about this current team.
Sure.
They just don't have all the pieces required. Look how tired in his prime SGA was. And you guys all, not you guys, but people think that Steph can still, at 39, is going to do and carry them through that. They had a good amount of rest. Would you agree, OKC, this year? They were able to play the schedule game.
They swept the Lakers in round 2. They had an unbelievable amount of rest.
SGA is hunched over at the end of that third quarter in game 7. Gassed. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you guys are down. Can he even afford to be on the bench in the fourth quarter?
I mean,
but they had to.
The amount of youth, size, and length that the Spurs throw at people, those young legs, like that was the big takeaway for me too. It's just the youth overall of this team. They don't know any better. Like and
the coach was celebrating with them.
Mitch Johnson was going nuts.
I was he won me over.
The Spurs on DraftKings right now, just finals winner minus 205. They were heavy favorites to win the series. 4.5 point favorites in game 1.
The other thing is like SGA and the whole OKC team felt scared of entering the rim because of Wemby. Like, and anything in the paint, they'd leave their feet and they'd kick it back out. And they need some physical presence in the paint offensively to kind of counterbalance it. See, I think now the way I'm watching this, I'm like, these guys, they're impossible to find. But is there a load, a guy that you could put in the paint on that OKC team offensively that would force Wemby to have to guard them at the block?
I mean, the name would be Giannis, right? If you like, he
likes it at the elbow, though.
No, he does. But Giannis is he's so strong that he could force Wemby. Like that's a guy, a body.
I meant more
mismatch.
college ranks.
No, sure. Because Cam is still, 6'9"? He's thick. Don't get me wrong. He could grow more into his body.
He's more of a playmaking guy.
I agree with you there.
You know?
I mean, Debanza?
No, he's a wing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I know these are physical freaks, but there's not like that bona fide 7-foot freak coming out of this.
Something to chew on. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. In the event that Giannis is getting dealt to OKC or the Spurs or whomever, I want the Warriors to be in on what I would call the other guy. So like they're going to reroute these guys other places. I don't know is Milwaukee really just going to take on Jaylen Brown and just stick with him, or are they going to rebuild? Are they going to take on Chet or Jalen? Like, I don't know, but if I'm the Warriors, I would be in on whatever 3 or 4 team deal. Maybe you have a sweet enough package that you end up getting a Chet Holmgren or a Jalen, and I think we should explore that tomorrow.